everyone. Susan Danziger. I have to correct you. It was actually the College of Arts and Sciences. Congratulations, all you arts people out there. I have to congratulate you guys. I think you don't realize how difficult it is to come up on the stage and do pitches. I mean, you guys were fantastic, each one of you, so really congrats. Seriously. So before I begin, here's my Twitter address. So please feel free during the talk or afterwards to go ahead and tweet at me. I'm happy to connect with you. So I want to talk in the spirit of Entrepreneurship Day about my own startup, my current startup, Zigio. And what we do is we power videos so that we make it super simple for you to capture videos from your audience, from your community, or from your customers. In fact, we've developed the leading asynchronous recorded video technology. But rather than my talking about Zigio, I thought in the spirit of Zigio, I'd show you a video.
Everyone has a spark, a passion, something that drives us forward and makes us who we are. It's not about where we came from or the schools we went to. It's not about who our parents are or the jobs on their resumes. It's about how we sound when we tell you something that matters. The glint in our eyes when we talk. That's Zigio.
Hi, I'm Adele Miller. I'm a photographer. I travel the world.
I graduated valedictorian of my high school class.
The space to be our best brilliant selves.
I'm a figure skater.
I'm a stand-up comedian, sit-down comedian. I can tell jokes in any position.
See what you're missing.
I'm particularly proud of this video because as a startup, we didn't really have enough money to pay a big crew. So we got a bunch of actors who wanted to get a reel for themselves, and they volunteered to come and be in our video, and they brought their own footage with them. And it was actually filmed in my house, and I wrote the script. Scrappy startup. Zigio is not my first startup. In fact, I've launched a number of different startups. I launched Fox Meadow Media, in which we got international authors from around the world and had them connect with US publishers. Most of those books are actually still being sold today. I've also launched Daily Lit, which was actually the first books on phones that were sent via serialized installments. I sold that one a couple of years ago. I've also launched women's networks. One network I launched about 10 years ago is still going strong today. Today, I'm going to talk to you about three things. I'm going to talk to you about launching a C+ startup. I'm going to talk to you about making a deal with the devil. And I'm going to talk about reaching the magic number 30 every single day. You'll also hear about bras, about sex campaigns, and also at the end, we're going to drop a few love bombs. C+ startups. You may have heard the term minimum viable product. That's when you want to launch something very basic to see if it has any legs at all. When I was going to Cornell, and even beforehand, I was used to being a straight A student, probably like most of you, or you wouldn't have gotten here. I wanted to do everything perfectly. I polished up my papers. I wouldn't dare hand in a rough draft to the professor, right? I attended all my classes, climbing up Live Slope every morning, right, to be there on time. I studied hard in Olin Library, everything to do everything perfectly. Well, to be a successful entrepreneur, I actually had to unlearn a lot of what I learned at Cornell. I had to learn that I didn't want to launch an A+ startup. My goal was to launch a C+ startup. Take my company, Daily Lit. When we first launched Daily Lit, we had no idea if anybody wanted to read books on phones. This was before the Kindle and before apps. So what we decided to do was to launch a really, really basic site. It was even grim looking. We launched with just 2 titles. We launched with War of the Worlds and Portrait of a Lady. That's it. So we put up a site with those 2 titles, and people just had to enter in their email address. That was it. So we told friends, and they started using Daily Lit, and they told friends, and they signed up, and pretty soon people we didn't even know were signing up to read books via Daily Lit. And eventually hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people were reading books via Daily Lit. Now, we could have easily spent years in our basement creating the perfect site with lots of different features, imagining what people would want, and launching books that we thought people would want to read but didn't know. But instead, we launched a really simple site, didn't take us that long, and then we could get feedback and iterate on it. And we heard from people. We heard that they wanted features like when they went on vacation, they wanted to stop the emails temporarily so that the emails wouldn't pile up in their inbox. And we heard of other people who said they wanted to schedule the exact time those email installments came into their email box. Some people wanted to read it at 8 in the morning with their coffee. Other people later on in the afternoon or evening. There was even one guy who told me that he loves to read installments at 5 o'clock together with his martini. We also had people tell us what kind of books they wanted to read. In fact, it turns out there are these rabid fans that really wanted to read Moby Dick, of all books. So we launched it. It's not just us and other startups that launch with MVPs, minimum viable products. It's also big companies when they first launch products. So for instance, Apple, when they originally launched the iPhone, they launched without the cut and paste feature, something that we take for granted today. But the first iteration didn't have it. Not only with startups in general, we also realized that that C+ mentality extended to the business models. We try something to see if it works, and if it doesn't, we try something else. So a lot of you are going through. And also with ad campaigns. We throw them out there and see what works. In fact, I remember it was just a few weeks ago, we launched a campaign because we had just released a video player. And we had to buy keywords, and the keywords we bought were video plus player. Well, it turns out that people who were searching and clicking on video plus player were actually players looking for video, which meant they were looking for sex videos. thousands of dollars later, we realized our mistake. We got better next time. So I've talked to you about launching a C+ startup. And now I want to talk to you about making the deal with the devil. As you know, in the media now, people are glorified and startups are glorified when they raise venture capital, right? You see that people are getting these fabulous offices who've just raised money. They have the ping pong tables, they have the beanbag chairs, they have the sushi lunches. You see the founders jetting around the world, right? It's what every startup wants, right? Actually, I want to share with you the flip side of that. Because I believe that if you take money, you should do it consciously and know that you may, in fact, be making a deal with the devil. About a year ago or so, my co-founder, Oliver, and I met with a string of VCs, probably about 5 of them in the space of a few weeks. Because, after all, we were a startup and we wanted to raise VC money. In fact, 2 of those VCs were seriously interested in investing in our technology. Exciting, right? Well, Oliver and I sat down for the first time in a cafe, still remember it, and we started to ask ourselves whether we really needed or even wanted the VC money. We had a great life up until then. We could make our own decisions, call our own shots. We weren't beholden to anyone. We could work for the summer in Berlin. I was taking conference calls on ski slopes, right? All of that could change taking VC money. Because all of a sudden, you're accountable to your investors who are thinking that they want to make 10x on you. In fact, once a quarter, you'd have to prepare like mad, sort of like taking a final exam every single quarter to justify your expenses, to justify what was on your product roadmap. The decisions would no longer be solely yours. And we knew that there were certain companies like Spanx. You know Spanx? Those are the tights that kind of hold in your fat, right? That actually became a billion-dollar company founded by Sarah Blakely, and she never took a dime of VC money. There's another company, Lynda, an educational platform. Only took money way at the end, after a long time of building and growing it, also founded by a woman. Well, it was about that time that I met with a fellow who was very well known in the tech industry in New York. And I told him that we were thinking about not taking VC money. And he looked at me as though I was crazy. You gotta be nuts. Every startup would kill to get VC money. You're crazy. This is success. You've made it. And I knew at exactly that moment that wasn't success for me. I wanted the luxury of being able to prove our business model out in the time that I wanted. I had a family. I liked the life I was living. And I knew that with some creativity, we could do it on our own. So we actually decided not to take VC money. Now, I'm not saying that it's not a good idea to take VC money. What I'm saying is make a conscious decision when you think about raising as to whether you absolutely need and want the money. It is like making a deal with the devil. But at the same time, you should always be meeting with VCs. And it's not necessarily to raise money. You see, VCs can be one of the smartest people in the room because they have this unique vision and view of the world that most of us don't have. They meet with startups every single day so they can see what the competition is like. They can see which business models are working. They can see they actually have portfolio companies that could be your partners, and they could also be your customers. So it's always a great idea to meet with VCs. And if one day you do decide to raise, you'll have already built up that relationship with them. So how did we manage to build our company without VC money? Well, I'm pretty proud of how creative we've been on the money we had. We were, after all, we had paying customers, so that wasn't the issue. Well, it all started when I had the idea for Zigio. But I knew that I needed help in building the technology for the company. I'm not a programmer, so I couldn't build it myself. But what we did have was we had a basement in my house. Now, I heard through my network there was a fellow named Oliver in Germany. And he had just finished a PhD in information technology. And I'd heard that he wasn't happy going into academia. So I made contact with Oliver, and I asked him what he was interested in doing. And he said, actually, potentially being an entrepreneur. So I had an idea. I invited him to come to New York for the summer. He can live in our basement. Kids were at camp. And he can intern at various other companies in the cities, other startups. But in exchange, in the evenings, he needed to program for me. And sure enough, he spent the summer building up Zigio. We used to joke that in the evenings he'd have to program 2 more lines of code, and then we'd give him dinner. So by the end of the summer, we had so much fun building Zigio together that we actually decided to co-found it together. So I used my creativity to get the first iteration of Zigio done. We were expanding, and we needed a place to put people. And we didn't have enough money to get fabulous office space in New York. But I heard of a company that was looking to house a startup because they thought it would be really cool to have a startup among their employees. They thought for some reason a startup could rub off on their employees because we were creative and scrappy. So through my network, I met with the CEO, and he said, yes, absolutely. We have a few desks. We're happy to give them to you on one condition. Every month, all you need to do is bring in donuts or other baked goods for the office. The office wasn't that big. So we got fabulous office space in the middle of Manhattan in the Flatiron District. They had beanbag chairs, and they had sushi lunches, and they even had a ping pong table. And there we were. We got office space all for free. So you see, using their creativity, it can go a long way to really giving you time to figure out your business model and running your startup without making a deal with the devil. Okay, I've spoken with you about launching a C+ startup, about making or not making a deal with the devil. And now I want to talk to you about reaching that magic number 30. And that has to do with building your network. If it weren't for my network, I never would have met Oliver, my co-founder. I never would have gotten that amazing office space. And I never would have found those VCs that I was meeting with. So I have a secret, or a trick, that I've used I want to share with you. I always have a notebook with me. And it's always a yummy notebook, a notebook that I'd want to always have around, right in my pocket. And I make it a point of every single day reaching 30 different points of contact. 30. I literally, in my notebook, write down 1 to 30. And those points of contact are not necessarily 30 different people. It might be somebody I meet today. We exchange cards. It might be a follow-up note to the same person. It may be somebody that I knew from my childhood or from quarantine. But each day I have to reach 30. In fact, I remember some nights I'd be up awake at night. I was at 26. I said, oh no, I have to get 27, 28, 29, 30. Oh. And I'd do it before I went to bed. 30 points of contact. And that's, by the way, also how I got my initial job. So it's not just for startups, but in any kind of networking you do. I've also used online groups to build my network. I belong to a women's entrepreneur network that's been particularly supportive. And also via LinkedIn and Twitter. Let's see if my address up here. Here it is. So if you guys want to reach 30, please use it before you go to bed. You're in an amazing position here. The network that you already have is incredible. Oh, I should tell you one more trick that I use to build my network. I actually arrange various events. I must have arranged about hundreds of different events. And they can be really simple. Like I had a series of brown bag lunches I'd launch once a month where I'd invite my friends and their friends. And then we'd invite a speaker to come. So not only was I building my network of colleagues and friends, but also people I wanted to meet, I would invite them to come. And I'd also have more elaborate events. Like I have a series of salons for women entrepreneurs in technology. And in those salons, what's so great is that we really sit and talk and trade information and stories and help each other and support each other. In fact, I remember one salon I had not that long ago. There was a woman who had an e-commerce startup, and she was selling bras directly to consumers via the internet. And she was talking about meeting with VCs. Now, as you probably know, most VCs are guys, unfortunately. Hopefully that'll change. But for now, most of them are men. And she was saying that the VC that she'd recently met with didn't want to invest in her company because he thought that bras would be too niche for him. So a product that sold to half the population, over half, was actually too niche for him? Go figure. Okay, I promised you a few love bombs. About 3 weeks ago, I was asked to judge a competition of startup pitches, sort of like what you guys did. Except instead of being students, these were actually former prison inmates who'd done serious time. There's a program called Defy that trains these folks, sort of like the program that you're going through here, on how to launch a startup. I remember one woman, her name is Sharon. She'd done 20 years in prison. And when she got out, She started living with her father, and her father then passed away, so she became homeless. But all the while, she was working on her startup through this program, Defy. At the end of the judging, they had each what they call actually these former prison inmates EITs, or entrepreneurs in training. So each EIT had to drop what they call a love bomb. They had to say something that they really appreciate about someone or something about the program. And I remember Sharon talking about her mentor as she dropped her love bomb. Her mentor's name was April. And April would meet with her every single week in person. And in between, she would call her and check in on her and make sure she was okay. And she said that without April, she wouldn't have made it through the program. She wouldn't have been able to launch her startup, which was called Just Soul Catering. It was Southern cooking, Southern comfort food. She said she wouldn't have been able to accomplish that or anything without April's support. So I thought today we take our cue from Defy and have you guys launch a few love bombs for what's been going on here to show your appreciation. But actually, before you do that, I think I have a few photos. Oh, there we go. So there's Sharon. She won for Just Soul Catering, and a couple of the other EITs. And that was Sharon hugging April. So, on to the love bombs that you guys have. So I had everyone record videos using, of course, Ziggy's technology. And let me play them for you today.
What I appreciate about entrepreneurship at Cornell is the support, the people, the camaraderie, and the candor.
So a lot has changed in the 20 years since I've been a student. We finally have biomedical engineering. The internet has skyrocketed. There's awesome library access. I can get answers to anything very, very quickly. Help from the librarian, several business programs, not much distraction from the big city. There's eLab, there's Rev, there's lectures all over the place, brilliant colleagues in every field, and everyone's accessible.
At Cornell is really a testament to the multidisciplinary approach that Cornell was founded upon. It provides amazing opportunities to work on projects that I'm passionate about and learn from them more than I could from any other class. And it also provides an amazing opportunity to collaborate with students from all different majors and backgrounds.
My love bomb with the program is the inspiring people who have presented over the years to keep the entrepreneurship flame alive. I can think of Jake Reich last year that presented Eversound, and then again this year, Steve Gal, when he presented his Turkish rug story. All of those inspiring presenters just help you to deal with the emotional roller coaster that entrepreneurship is.
We're a really weird group of people. That's what I love about us. What sort of person wants to start a company while in college? Entrepreneurship at Cornell makes starting a company a little bit less lonely. That's great.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm the founder of Equine Design. I want to thank my mentors at eLab for all of their support, and I want to thank Entrepreneurship at Cornell and student agencies for making this all possible. And thank you, Susan, for letting me try Ziggy.
I love that. I wish when I was going to Cornell that I had the resources that you guys have. Whether it's the professors and the mentors and the facilities, the eLab program, it's incredible. Also the students, the engineering students that can help you build your site. The English majors that can help write the copy. The design students that can help you design your site. The business majors and the business faculty to help you with your business plans. It's all here. All you need really is your imagination, creativity, and a passion for what you want to do. I wish you all the success as you launch your startups. Remember, you don't need to launch the perfect startup. Go for the C+. Remember, try to reach 30 contacts, the magic number 30. And launch a few love bombs once in a while. Oh, and please stay out of prison. Thank you.
This is a production of DMIG, the Dyson Media Innovation Group.